Welcome to the International Gita Forum Caribbean, which is being broadcast from the sunny Republic of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. This is our 13th International Gita Forum, in which we have presentations based on Bhagavad Gita. This is our first in-person following COVID, and we have done a very cautious reopening in that the audience in person has been kept at a minimum. For those of you who are in person here this evening, welcome. Remember that in the event of any emergency, you are to go down the very same stairs you came up. The muster point is at the back. Washrooms are on the ground floor, and those who may have a need to eat or drink anything during the program, remember you are in the main hall of Swaha Shri Ram Dham, in the presence of Prabhu Shri Ram, Sita, Janki Ji, and Lakshman and Hanuman Ji. We do not allow any eating, drinking, or chewing of gum on this floor. We are about to begin. Our focus on our International Gita Forum is obviously on Bhagwan Sri Krishna. At this time, we shall have the lighting of the diya, the inaugural lamp. I invite everyone to please stand. I invite Pandit Vikram Aditya Maharaj, Pandit Gyandev Ji, our two speakers today, Pandit Kavish Ved Prasad, Deputy Spiritual Leader at Swaha Shri Ram Dham, Mrs. Rohini Prasad, Godmother at the temple, to join us at the diya to light the inaugural lamp.
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे।
Bole Shri Krishna Chandra ki Jai. Please be seated. Pandit Gyandev Prasad ji, founder, director of Swaha Incorporated. Pandit Shri Vikram Aditya Maharaj, spiritual leader, Vishwanath Mandir, founder of Yukar Foundation, and consultant to the International Gita Forum Caribbean. To our viewers on IETV, IE Radio, listeners, social media platform, to our special guests present here this evening, to all devotees of Bhagwan Sri Krishna. Welcome to the start of the International Gita Forum 2023. Just reflecting back, the IGF Caribbean, the International Gita Forum Caribbean, was started in 2012, right here at Swaha Sri Ram Dham, when there was no ceiling, there was no tiles. We were, as we still are, a work in progress at all times, continuing to improve and develop. In that first year, we had the secretary of the trust that manages the birthplace of Sri Krishna, Mathura, Sri Kapil Kumar Sharma, who continues as secretary up to today, joining us. He came as secretary of the trust to inaugurate the first International Gita Forum Caribbean. At that time, we just called it International Gita Forum. We added Caribbean after a few years when our friends in Singapore, who started the International Gita Forum and named it that, mentioned that it created some ambiguity. Which one are we talking about? They started, and I want to acknowledge that, the International Gita Forum was started in Singapore, not India. And we have added Caribbean to our name as we continue as a work in progress to develop this idea. Now, rationale, why, firstly? Those of you in Trinidad who would have joined us in our Kartik celebration this year, our first in Swaha's first in person following COVID. Again, may recall I had made a short presentation pointing out that prior to the incorporation of Swaha, and one of the reasons for the incorporation of Swaha was the recognition that much more needed to be done to promote Hinduism. In fact, the organizations that existed pre-Swaha, basically, the largest organization took the position that after, and their leader at the time is on record as having said, after Kartik Nahan, Hindus finish for the year. There is nothing else. But as I pointed out then, and every year since, there are two major festivals following Kartik Nahan. One is Sri Sita Ram Viva, which this year is on the 17th of December, which at Sri Ram Dham is another festival we are trying to develop. It's much more in a fledgling state than Gita Forum, which is now in its 12th year. When we started the International Gita Forum, we basically had decided what we are doing is celebrating the day Bhagavad Gita was recited by Lord Krishna. Now, I'm sure we all could appreciate the challenges Imagine Gita Jayanti falls on Christmas Day. What happens? What makes way for what? As Hindus, those are questions we have to answer, and I am no fundamentalist. But we as a society, we as a people, needed and still need to determine where our priorities should lie. This year, Gita Jayanti is on December the 22nd. And at Sri Ram Dham, on our third floor, as we've done since 2012, when Kapil Sharma came, placed the flag of Janmasthan on the third floor, and also established piece of Govardhan here, we have faithfully, every Gita Jayanti, performed puja. Now, we have in the International Gita Forum created a number of elements. And I want, as I begin this year, as we begin in person again, to acknowledge the contribution of my daughter, Kalyani Prasad, who was the driving force for a lot of the festivities that arose out of Gita Forum. She created the idea of the academic program, the cultural forum, and then the devotional forum. So the devotional forum is always Gita Jayanti Day. This year, because of challenges of time and also availability of resources, we have clubbed the academic and cultural into one today. In previous years, we had grand celebrations on different days, but as we are restarting in person, we have done it this way this year. What was also done, and what is done, is Chapan Bhog, the offering of 56 dishes to Lord Krishna. Those were saltless. And then we created, under Kalyani's, I won't say guidance, but insistence, what is called Bhog Utsav, where from a cultural perspective, we now encourage people to create vegetarian dishes for Lord Krishna without onion or garlic. And in our last Bhog Utsav, we had over 100, and I can't remember the number, 30 or 40 something different vegetarian dishes that we offered to Lord Krishna. COVID put a stop, or I shall say a pause to a lot of those festivities, which we are going to resume as we enter fully into reopening of all activities at the center. During COVID, some good also took place, because we now moved to online presentations. And in fact, today, it is a blended perspective, because we are in person and we are also continuing online. Last year, our online presentation had presentations from over 40 countries who sent their presentations, and we aired it on IETV, IE Radio. Last year, the Sri Krishna Janmasthan, they did a special puja to start our celebrations, and Kapil Sharma ji again sends his greetings to us on this effort to develop Bhagavad Gita even further. On another note, as Hindus in the diaspora, I'm sure many of you may know and many may not know, but after 500 years, the temple at the birthplace of Sri Ram, the Pran Pratishta, the inauguration, will take place on January 22nd, 2024. And I just share it with you from now. Arrangements have already been made. IETV and iRadio will be carrying that live from Doordarshan for all who wish to see and be part of that. Festivities are being organized worldwide to celebrate the establishment of Sri Ram in Ayodhya on January 22nd. So we want to congratulate the trust that has done that. And actually, if you've been looking at the news, in the last few days, a few days ago, Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, went to Mathura and there performed puja, and all the holy places of Hindus are being looked at for further development. This year, we continued our programs. I just want to share with you, and I want to thank publicly Pandit Vikram Aditya Maharaj, who has gotten on board with us with these programs. Last year, in our last Gita Jayanti celebrations, 2022, December, it was the first time we did the reading of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Pandits of Trinidad and Tobago were invited, and the entire Bhagavad Gita was read, supervised by the Paramachar of Swaha and Pandit Vikram Aditya Maharaj, the two senior most Pandits. This year, that is again taking place tomorrow, starting at 3 p.m. We are all invited to participate. If you can't join in person, then you can join via media. Now, during the course of this year, the International Gita Forum Caribbean continued looking at ways to promote Bhagavad Gita further. And with Pandit Vikram Aditya Maharaj, again, who is quite knowledgeable and has done a lot of work on Bhagavad Gita, we created 25 one-hour programs, which we have aired on ITV. Gita Discussions is the name we have used. That has been aired and continues to be aired and has had tremendous traction. And a lot of people have expressed their admiration and their appreciation for the efforts that have been made to help in promoting Bhagavad Gita. Again, we continue with the distribution of Bhagavad Gitas. Anybody in Trinidad and Tobago, we are speaking of here now, who wants a copy of the Bhagavad Gita, you can get it free of charge from the International Gita Forum Caribbean. To support the growth of the festival further, I want to make an appeal to all Hindus. If you go by the name Hindu and you worship Lord Krishna, the words of Lord Krishna were recited on Gita Jayanti Day. And if you are in a temple that is not celebrating Bhagavad Gita Jayanti, not to criticize anyone, but rather encourage them, encourage the management to begin, at least on Gita Jayanti Day, light a diya, worship Bhagavad Gita, recite some verses from it. Our temples should be thus activated everywhere, Swaha and non-Swaha temples. The businesses in Trinidad and Tobago, how much support do we give for Hindu activities? Each of us will answer it for ourselves. And in that regard, I want to thank the sponsors of the IGF this year, Prem Singh, and also S. Ram Logan and Son, who have come aboard to meet some of the costs of the production to have these broadcasts aired. To them and all others who have supported Bhagavad Gita, we thank you. And we ask others, and you don't have to support ITV only, wherever Bhagavad Gita is taking place. Do Bhagavad Gita Yagya. Worship Sri Krishna. Let the information and knowledge of Sri Krishna, let this effort of the IGF help in creating that awareness and that desire among others to develop. In many ways, Gita Jayanti is the most muted of celebration of Hindus in Trinidad and Tobago up to today. And our role, our intention is simply to promote Bhagavad Gita. Next year, and I just want to announce this from now, we are creating, the IGF is creating a foundation course on Bhagavad Gita. It will be a minimum of 10 one-hour sessions. The target audience would be young persons, laymen interested in exploring Bhagavad Gita. What we are trying to do now is not just read the Bhagavad Gita, but what I will just share with you what the idea is. We want to identify verses to support principles that must be included in the presentations. These series would be done in person and also recorded, so it's available. What are we going to cover? History, description of chapters, characters in Bhagavad Gita. Topic 2, incarnation. 3, time in Hinduism. 4, nature of the soul. 5, reincarnation and transmigration of souls. 6, our attitude to work, action and reaction. 7, duty. Food, as is spoken of in Bhagavad Gita. Yajna, surrender and service to Sri Krishna. The attributes of a godly person and attributes of a demonic mentality. We will be approaching, and this is something we should all recognize. Tomorrow we'll see pundits, traditional pundits, from various organizations on our platform. Swaha is not concerned about organization, we are concerned about knowledge and information. And so we have no qualms about working with anybody who is interested in developing knowledge and share their information they have on Bhagavad Gita. This course would be created next year, and we believe would add to the body of knowledge that will assist in devotees and persons studying Bhagavad Gita. Now, we will join for a few minutes in songs by SSRD, Swaha Shri Ramdham, and then we'll begin with our first presentation. Let's focus on Sri Krishna.
Bhajli Hari Govinda, Bhajli Krishna Mukunda, Bhajli Hari Govinda, Bhajli Hari Govinda, Bhajli Krishna Mukunda,
Bhajle Hari Govinda,
Bhajli Hari Govinda, Bhajli Krishna Mukunda, Bhajli Hari Govinda. भजन करो सत्संग से रामायण बखाने, भजन करो सत्संग से रामायण बखाने, इस संसार की माया में समव संबल पगना, समव संबल पगना, हरि गोविंदा, हरि गोविंदा, भजले कृष्ण मुकुंदा,
Bhajle Hari Govinda, Bhajle Hari Govinda, Bhajle Krishna Mukunda, Bhajle Hari Govinda.
काम क्रोध मद लोभ को ज्ञान में कभी न लाना, काम क्रोध मद लोभ को ज्ञान में कभी न लाना, रामायण है सरोवरा जिसमें करो स्नाना, Krishna Mukunda, Bhajale Hari Govinda, Bhajale Hari Govinda, Bhajale Krishna Mukunda, Bhajale Hari Govinda, Bhajale Hari Govinda, Bhajale Hari Govinda.
तू मन की अति बोरी ओ मैया मोरी, तू मन की अति बोरी, तू मन की अति बोरी ओ मैया मोरी, तू मन की अति बोरी, जाको डर परियो देहि माँ कहने तो, जाको डर परियो देहि माँ कहने तो, वो क्यों करने लगी चोरी ओ मैया मोरे, तू मन की अति बोरी, तू मन की अति बोरी ओ मैया मोरे, तू मन की अति बोरी। माताओं क्यों माखन खायो, ना कोई मत की पूरी, माताओं क्यों माखन खायो, ना कोई मत की पूरी, मुरमक माखन मल तेरे संग मुके, मुरमक माखन मल तेरे संग मुके, लाई रही की चोरी ओ मैया मोरे, तू मन की अति बोरी, तू मन की अति बोरी ओ मैया मोरे, तू मन की अति बोरी, जाको डर परियो देहि माँ कहने तो, जाको डर परियो देहि माँ कहने तो, वो क्यों करने लगी चोरी ओ मैया मोरे, तू मन की अति बोरी, तू मन की अति बोरी ओ मैया मोरे, तू मन की अति बोरी। दिन दिन भर में तो दिन चढ़ावत करते चकरी दूरी, दिन दिन भर में तो दिन चढ़ावत करते चकरी दूरी, मुरमक माखन मल तेरे संग मुके, मुरमक माखन मल तेरे संग मुके, लाई रही की चोरी ओ मैया मोरे, तू मन की अति बोरी, तू मन की अति बोरी ओ मैया मोरे, तू मन की अति बोरी, जाको डर परियो देहि माँ कहने तो, जाको डर परियो देहि माँ कहने तो, माँ क्यों करने लगी चोरी ओ मैया मोरे, तू मन की अति बोरी, तू मन की अति बोरी ओ मैया मोरे, तू मन की अति बोरी।
At this point, we will begin our two academic presentations. Now, it's very important that all our viewers, listeners, our in-person guests be reminded of the IGF's principle. The International Gita Forum provides a forum, as it is, an opportunity for intellectuals, speakers, thinkers to present their views. I remember in the first IGF in 2012, people had objected to some of the speakers. Some of you may not remember that. One, because one was a female, for example. We want to remind that this session is not intended to be seen as a pravachan. It's not a pundit, although it's not a pundit making a presentation on a singhasan. It's very important, especially where principles and philosophies are concerned, that we understand, and this is where IGF disclaimer comes in. We are not saying anything anybody's going to say is right or wrong. It is perspectives, and it's people's opinions. So you may very well find, even today, two pundits or three pundits might say something and contradict one another. It happens. That is the point of this. Not to contradict one another, but to encourage free thought. And in that regard, I want to introduce our first speaker. Pandit Gyandev Prasad is the fourth son of the Shankaracharya and Mataji, the founders of Swaha. He is a spiritual leader at this time of the Sukh Shanti Bhakti Mandali in St. Augustine. He is a former principal of Swaha Hindu College. He is an author, having published, I think it's 2 or 3 publications. He studied in India, he studied Hindi. He in fact went on 2 scholarships to India to study Hindi and is fluent. And for information, those particularly who look at Swaha's development, the Swaha song and also the Swaha Chalisa was created by him. He's a practicing Pandit for 46 years. At this time, let us welcome to the podium Pandit Gyandev Prasad ji for his presentation on Bhagavad Gita. Pandit ji.
सबसे पहले मैं अंतर्राष्ट्रीय गीता सम्मेलन अध्यक्ष मेरे को बधाई देना चाहता हूँ। वो भी इस मंदिर का गुरु है और उसके पास उनके बेटे करीश इस मंदिर का स्थल का उपगुरु है और यहाँ वही उपस्थित है हमारे चुटकी जी नाम क्या है मालूम है तो नाम पुकारने में अपमान होता है। तो और यहाँ उपस्थित है विक्रम आदित्य और शायद ITV पर सुन रहे हैं हमारे शंकराचार्य परमाचार्य जी और दूसरे पंडित लोग और सभी भक्तजनों। शायद यहाँ उपस्थित है दूसरे पंडित लोग हैं, मालूम नहीं, अगर है तो मैं आप लोगों को अभिनंदन करता हूँ। और सभी गीता भक्त भगवान कृष्ण के भक्त को मैं भी अभिनंदन करता हूँ। मैदेव ने बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात कही कि जो हम कहते हैं शायद वो हमारे राय है, हो सकता है, लेकिन मैं गीता से पढ़ूँगा सीधे से। जो आप समझते हैं तो समझ लीजिए, जो नहीं समझते हैं तो क्या करें। वसुदेवम सुरम देवम कंसचारुमर्दनम देवी की परमानंदम कृष्णम वंदे जगत गुरु। भगवान कृष्ण की कृपा से हम समझेंगे। शायद कई लोग कुछ नहीं समझेंगे, कई लोग बहुत समझेंगे, क्योंकि जहाँ पर हमारे स्तर है, मतलब जो हमारे ज्ञान है, जैसे अगर वेदास नहीं जानते हैं, रामायण नहीं जानते हैं, गीता नहीं जानते हैं, तो कैसे हमारी बात समझेंगे। कोई बात नहीं, हम कोशिश करेंगे साधारण बात से समझाऊंगा। कल बहुत संस्कृत सुनाने वाले हैं, तो आज मैं संस्कृत नहीं पढ़ूँगा, मैं सिर्फ अंग्रेज़ी पढ़ूँगा, क्योंकि कल स्वाहा पंडित और दूसरे पंडित लोग भी, बहुत पंडित लोग हैं, आएंगे, गीता संस्कृत श्लोक पढ़ाएंगे, वो पढ़ेंगे, तो सभी लोग संस्कृत सुनेंगे। लेकिन अभी आज समय बहुत कम है, वो मुझे बता दिया कि 20 मिनट में हमारे प्रेजेंटेशन प्रस्तुत करना चाहिए, तो मैं कोशिश करूँगा 20 मिनट में हमारे प्रेजेंटेशन प्रस्तुत करूँगा। In my opinion, when Maydev mentioned beautifully that the Gita, people, why would they gravitate towards the Gita? If something doesn't have no meaning in their life, they wouldn't want it. And this is what I'm going to do today, as much as possible. We have a timekeeper. have not thing here is cut off the. So as much as possible, what we will do, I have decided to take, I have solicited questions from persons which they want to hear answered. Because if the Gita doesn't apply to my life, why would I want to read Gita or study the Gita? For the Gita's sake? No, that is good if you are Jnani Bhakt. But ordinary human beings have to live. Get up in the morning, go to work, fight the traffic jam, afraid bandit, look after your children. All these things is worldly things. All these things are worldly things. So what we're going to do is deal in the Gita what we have to take to apply to our lives. Are you a mother or father, a worker? Are you retired? Are you just waiting for something to happen? Whatever station in life we are, there are questions we need to answer. What direction to give? And I want to just preface my presentation with the fact that any scripture which can guide you in life is not a scripture. I'm not waiting for a scripture to tell me when I dead what will happen. I have a life right now. I don't know what I must do. And when it tells me what I must do, then I know when I die what will happen. So when it's come like you stand up here, but you're watching the see dress. You can't see dress. You could. Some people may. But the point is, see what's in front of us. Proceed and see what is there. And what is there is what we have to face in life every day. And this is what I'm going to deal with. Things that are everyday circumstances. I'm just going to give some idea of what I'll be dealing with. And then I'll go into it. First, question. I put into some questions taken, I think, from Jeremiah, if I would ask questions. All the scriptures, most scriptures like that. Questions asked and answers given. So the first question is, let us find out what the Vedas deal with. Here the word Vedas a lot. Second question, and this is something, if you look at any picture of Krishna and Sri Ram, you will notice Arjuna has a mustache, right? You see Sri Ram with a mustache? Who decides he must now have a mustache? The painter in India? Who decides Krishna is going to be clean shaven? The painter in India? I've checked, I still checking. How does God look? So, there is no discrimination in Hinduism. So God came tall, Parshuram. Came short, Brahman. He came dark, Krishna. He came clear, Sri Ram. God came on the right hand, that's Sri Ram. God came on the left hand, that's Sri Krishna. And I could prove it from the Gita. So if you're left-hander, right-hander, you're not discriminated against. The next question is, now I must add, Bollywood, I know Panmaydev plays a lot of Bollywood songs in the station, but some Bollywood productions are hampering Hinduism. And I'll draw concrete reference to them. Like one of the songs, Bade Pyar Se Milna Sabse. They are great songs. Oh, very nice. We'll talk about our Gita Se Bora. Then, I personally, as a little boy, when I heard Krishna Bhagavan shot on his foot, I said, that can't happen. That will never happen. And that didn't happen. And I tell from the Gita what happened. So people they have something called Tulsi Manas and they have Jan Manas. What is Jan Manas? I say so, he says so, he hear it, he tell them, and then write it. So many things in our scriptures are like that. So Krishna Bhagavan will hear, nobody can kill God, nobody. And though given this stupidness about, oh, Bali shoot Sri Ram, and Sri Ram come back, and Bali come back as, Sri Ram come back as Bali, Sri Ram come back as Krishna, and Bali came back as the hunter and shoot him to prove karma. You want to tell me all the chicken Allah eat, not all you, people. The chicken gone back as human being, Allah come back as and kill them. All them chickens had to kill all those chicken had to kill all you. All who eating chicken. So what's stupid talking about Bali had to come back and kill Sri Ram? Because he killed Krishna, because he killed Sri Ram. That making karma so fundamental, simplistic. It makes no sense. But people believe that. It's so nice, yeah. Sri Ram hide and shoot Bali, so Bali come back and shoot Krishna Bhagavan in Sri Ram form. Sri Ram in Krishna Bhagavan form. There is nowhere in scriptures. They call that Jan Manas, Pakhand. I'll prove it to you from the Gita. Eh? I'll just go through the question, we'll go along each one individually after. Now you have a popular saying, he has died for our sins. Direct from the Gita. I'll tell you, Krishna Bhagavan said, nobody can die for my sin or your sin. Nobody. So let people fool all you. I'll give you that. Direct from the Gita. Because what's happening is many outside influences that come into our religion, and we adopt it like nothing. And the next one is, how many gods do we have? Oh, everybody have one God, we must have one God too. We can have many gods. I'll give you a reference from the Gita. So many references about how many gods we have. And these people who project there's one God, fallen victim to Western civilization thought. All religions have one God, so he will have one God too. If you have one God, how would it look? How would it look? That is stupidness. Gita says that. There are many gods. We'll come to that. He says, most importantly, what is linked between this life and next life? So you can take any criminal, I don't call a name, whether a serious criminal, international, local. Do you think he died? Well, dies it? What Gita says about these people who perform bad, really bad things, what happen to them? And those who do very good things, what will happen to them? We may not see it, but what happens to them? So Gita tells us the link between this life and next life and karma. Direct quotes. Now, most topical issue, and very topical, and sad to say America is supposed to be leading the Western world, and they're projecting more than anybody else. There's something called same-gender relationship. Same gender, man and man, woman and woman. What did Gita say about that? I'll tell you exactly, quoting from you. I interpret it, I'll tell you exactly what Gita says, what Krishna Bhagavan says about that. Many things that not my interpretation is what the Gita says. You'll help. You'll check it if you want to have Gita. So what does the Gita say about same gender relationships? Then what is about other religions? You're not living in a closed society, only Hinduism. There are many other religions. What does Gita and Krishna Bhagavan say about other religions? How do you understand them and relate with them? So these are questions which people have asked, which the Gita needs to, which tells us, but apparently we don't hear it or we don't see it or people see it or what. So what I'm saying basically is, if the Gita doesn't apply to our lives, then it answer our questions, applies to situations, then the Gita has no value. Krishna Bhagavan very beautifully. I'll start with the first one. There are many more questions, but I'll go through it because time is going. I want to read directly from the Gita. And I want to say first of all, Krishna Bhagavan very beautifully. He doesn't condemn or criticize anybody for anything. What he says, everything is either separate, realistic or tamasic. And because of what it is, you will actually reap benefit or suffer the consequences. So whatever there is, if there is same gender relationship, it is separate, tamasic or realistic. And what are the consequences of that? Krishna Bhagavan explained that. Everything can be categorized. Food, yag, charity, every single thing. Very beautifully. So you don't criticize, but you see what is the best one to choose. You have a choice. So I'll start first of all with the Vedas. I'm reading chapter 2, verse 42 to 44. Arjun, those who are full of worldly desires and devoted to the letter of Vedas, who look upon heaven as the supreme goal and argue there is nothing beyond heaven, are unwise. Krishna Bhagavan said that. So there are those who look at the Vedas. Vedas mean religious knowledge. So you want to do this, do that, you must do like that, and do like that, and do that, and do so. Those people he says are unwise. And what are you doing it for? To gain heaven. Now where is heaven? because I'm not get a chance to do it again. Many people wrongfully say heaven and hell is right here. How can we say heaven and hell is right here? Krishna Bhagavan in his delivery in Gita, in Devi Bhagavat, and let us leave all the scriptures. Let's go to the holy way. James Webb, the fellow who invented this telescope to see out in the world. He has seen how many? Millions of planets, thousands of solar systems, thousands of earths, thousands of suns. You tell me this little earth here is the entire creation. God is that stupid? He'll create all this vast things, and earth and heaven is there. Heaven and hell. There heaven, there Rao, Maha, there's heaven, hell, and upper region, lower region. All the scriptures say that. So those who are projecting that heaven and hell is right here, you may suffer the consequences. You may feel the influence of heaven and hell here. But it's not heaven and hell, it's earth. But there is a heaven, there is a hell. That will the whole is called themselves from the Gita. So Krishna Bhagavan is saying, look upon heaven as supreme goal, and he said, nothing beyond heaven. So I didn't go heaven. He said, unwise. The author flowery speech, recommended many kinds of rituals. In a long time, what is the why avatar come? Long time like yesterday Ashwamedh Yagya, Putrachi Yagya, Randu Ashwamedh Yagya. So many different types of Yagya. And that is a whole thing by itself. Why different avatar come? To change. Who changes? Not you and I. When avatar come to stop it. They may change, but they are authorized to make those changes. So there are those who believe, they recommend many times of what? Rituals. And this year should I start to say, I have seen in Trinidad, it is a big, unacceptable kind of action, where they're picking 1,000 tulsi leaf to offer to Vishnu Bhagavan. They don't know the Devi Bhagavat. They don't know what they say about tulsi leaf. One tulsi leaf, बासी नहीं होती, बार बार काम आएगा. You can use one tulsi leaf, but I fed up say this Bhakti doesn't listen. So Navratram you have 9 puja, pick 9. One tulsi leaf can be used for all puja. The respect for tulsi. So what happened is that people are trying to do many things, many things, which have no basis in scriptures. मनमाना ढंग से काम करते हैं, according to own way of thinking, arbitrarily. But according to scripture, it is no. So Gita says they recommend many type of ailments, many type of yagya. And Ramayana has it. What is the last tested scripture? Somebody tell me quick. I cannot continue. What is the last tested scripture? Did you hear the question? Or do you know the answer? What was the last tested scripture? Huh? The Ramayana by Tulsidas was tested and was stamped what? Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram. So what in Ramayana, if you follow that, fine. If you don't follow that, you're out of line. And devotees, what Ramayana says, Kaligo Kevala Namadhara, Sumiri Nara, Uttarahu Para. Hey Ram, Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Calling of God, Raghupati Ram. Govinda Bolo Hari Gopal. Calling of God with love in your heart. But now you only hear. And this is not a joke, eh? Recently I came from India, right? We went Kirana. I'm coming back when they had landslide. And on the mountain, what we saw, this is India, in Himalaya, close to Kirana. A pandit, a fella, and his wife, with a fowl, doing that puja. And if a holy fall apart, all lady head and he level fowl, dog chasing. The guy is stupid, people are doing. And that's India. And people want to follow what India doing. The Shankaracharya made a very beautiful statement. He said, India is a holy place, but don't equate the people with the place. People in India is not the same as the place in India. So what he's saying is there are many things people want to follow from India. And when these 2x4 Swamis come, I asked many of them, the one reason why we go India. India has so many problems. Why don't Satan help them? No, they have come here, but here they get gold, and get jewelry, and get rock and hammock, and get all kinds of things. Here they get anything. So they come here for. So if you really want to help people in India, no, they must come here. So we ask you, all those things you're trying to bring here. So every time a Swami or somebody comes, they bring a new following and a new kind of, how do you call it? Practice. So let me go on. This thing will stick right here. So, Krishna Bhagavan in Gita chapter 2, verse 42 to 44, he said, those whose minds are carried away by such words and who are deeply attached to pleasure and holy power cannot attain God. Arjuna Vedas does deal with the absolute of these three gunas. So according to where we are, follow accordingly. And let me just mention, but this is something which, and I want to check the exact habit written down here, right? In the Gita, Krishna Bhagavan in chapter 9, let's get it. And this is something which you will know. He says, you know what he says? Pitamahasya jagato mata dhata pitamaha vedyam pavitra omkaram rik sam yadu vedacha. Everywhere in the Gita, Krishna Bhagavan said there are three Vedas. Rik, Sam and Yajur. Rik, Sam and Yajur. Where did the third Veda come from? I want you, when you have time now, everybody internet now, one check where the third Veda come from. Or what it is, who wrote it? Or what authority there is for it. But it is given a fact. Oh, there are four Vedas. Krishna Bhagavan in chapter 9, at least three places, he has said Veda Trey, Veda Trey, Veda Trey. Three Vedas. But we know more than Krishna Bhagavan. You know, we have four Vedas. And as I said, very beautifully, to give you an example, he says what? Ye yamara grantaye mukti pantaye panchama veda nirala. Everybody hear that? Who writes the Bhagavad Gita? Ye yamara grantaye, no, that is true. Yamara grantaye, ye mukti pantaye, help us in revelation. Panchama veda nirala. This is the fifth Veda. So now from 3, 4, we come to 5. So the Bhagavad Purana says fifth Veda. We accept it. But who wrote it? This is the article. And this is where Bollywood people come in. They write songs, put in things, and people tend to follow it. We have no problem saying it is the fifth Veda if it conforms to what the other three Vedas say, Viksham and Yajur. If it conforms. But in what I have seen, it doesn't conform. The Bhagavad Purana had many stories which are put in here. We call it interpolation, shape up. Putting after, and who knows what is right or wrong. And this is why we say, you know what's right or wrong? Do an investigation to the Gita and read it and cross-reference. You'll know whether something makes sense or something doesn't make sense. Now, I'm going to conclude because I think we'll take time already. I'll leave it there for a few things. Just this one, or two. Because it's a very important one. You see a drunkard come to your house, you say, I'll give him money. What he did, I hate it. Charity good to give. Go ask Sita now. Sita came out to give charity. What happened to her? I'm afraid to say. Come on. Yeah. She was kidnapped. She was going to react. And something bad come out. Can I say something good? Did Krishna Bhagavan, the whole, it's called that says, what is sattvic charity, what is tamasic, and what is all different that charity has, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. So it's not easy to give charity like that. So in this thing they say, this one asks, these Bollywood song. बड़े प्यार से मिलना सबसे दुनिया में इंसान है. So the devotees, he says, meet our love. And as cross-reference, Krishna Bhagavan said in the Gita, he said, everything is in me, but I am not in everything. So when our Bhagavan come drunk, when a crook come to tell you, the flag is devil thing, and come, leave that and come here, he hung God in it. Krishna Bhagavan in Gita, he says that. Everything is in me, but I am not in everything. So don't have that blind belief that when somebody comes, God comes there, God will come like that. God will come, God, and that's stupid. To come like that. And let me tell you something, but many people use the discussion. Tulsidas said, Sri Ram mein sab jag. Guys, Tulsidas, not we. I'm not Tulsidas, you're not Tulsidas. He's seeing God everywhere. We can't see God everywhere. Can we see God everywhere? So don't use that and say, yeah, God all about. When people come, treat them accordingly. In reality, Krishna Bhagavan told Arjuna, see reality. Arjuna said, I see my uncle, my guru. And he said, Arjuna, see reality. Don't be emotional. Don't be emotional. So we have to be like that. Don't let people come and fool you and mamagai you and tell you this and that. I am God, present, I am God in me. Like what Ravan do Sita. He said, I am a holy man. You will let me back to charity. Sita said, gone, no charity for you. No? The belief was, when son comes for your job, be on charity. Keep that, doesn't say that. But he says, God is everything, but everything is not in God. So when people confront you, they're not in God. They are not holy persons. So these are some of the things that you have to bear in mind. And I will end with this one, because this is something that many people have asked. The first time I heard that, was Sri Ram killed? No. Nobody can kill God. And in chapter 9, verse 11, Krishna Bhagavan said very beautifully, not knowing my supreme nature, fools deride me, the Lord of entire creation, who have assumed the human form. That is to say, they take me, who have appeared in human form, to my Yog Maya for deliverance of the world as an ordinary mortal. So Krishna Bhagavan is saying, nobody can kill God. Not Krishna Bhagavan, not Sri Ram. God has never been killed. And that story, I've checked it over and over. I've gone to India recently again and I asked the people in Govardhan, the Punjab, they do the Parikrama Govardhan. I stopped, I said, Baba ji आइए, बता दीजिए कृष्ण भगवान कैसे बन गए? ओ, एक आदमी ने चीज मारा, रोएगा सॉरी कहाँ से आई? Where you got that from? Why the authority for that? Read the Gita and said nobody can kill God. He's not a ordinary human being, had to die, and then you bring down over karma. So as I said just now, Bali killed Sri Ram killed Bali, so Bali had to come back as Jada and kill Krishna Bhagavan. The karma is constant spin. You kill a chicken, the chicken come back and kill you. You know that kind of stupid thinking, that's not karma, that's foolishness to justify that Krishna Bhagavan got killed. And it is in the Bhagavad Puran, this is where we have to understand the history of India. I'm glad Parmaya is going to give you that next year. The history of India. The history of India invaded how many times? And how many months was the fire burning for with Hindu scriptures? 6 months. The invaders burned all scriptures. That's why they said the Pandits are sometimes only get power. You know what you want? Study Baba, you write all scriptures. Now writing Baba, what put in on only side it. Very good. And this is why you have to verify to what the Gita says. What the Ramayana says, authoritative scriptures. Don't believe everything out there. The Bhagavad has many good parts. Many parts are known for people's sake, for people's benefit. So, God is not bound by actions. Just remember that. Chapter 7 also he says very beautifully. Chapter 7 verse 24. He says what? Not knowing my supreme nature. Krishna Bhagavan speaking. Chapter 7 verse 24. Unsurpassable and undecaying. The ignorant persons regard me, who am the supreme spirit beyond the reach of the mind and senses, and the embodiment of truth, knowledge and bliss, to have assumed a finite form to birth as an ordinary human being. So Krishna Bhagavan, neither Sri Ram never born, neither died. They appeared. God appears and disappears. He doesn't born and die. So all the references are there. And these third time I said in the last point, the first one is so much important. I'll tell you last one. Krishna Bhagavan, now it is about many gods. Now recently we had Govardhan Puja, right? When Krishna Bhagavan told his mother and father, don't worship him, what happened? When Krishna Bhagavan told Indra, who told him, do not worship him, what happened? Then he said, oh, all don't worship me, I'll release the rain for you all. And what happened? He flooded the place. The inherent in that statement is what? Ind was the god of rain, he had control over the rain. He flooded the place, Ind was the god of rain. And Krishna Bhagavan said, don't worship him. So Krishna Bhagavan later in the Gita will explain to you, don't go through our long cut, come direct to me. Don't want to worship a God who will give rain, don't worship a God who will give money, don't worship a God who will give you a wife. Come direct to me, all your needs will be fulfilled. But they are gods who have responsibilities. One we did puja. There are so many gods and devotees, and ladies and gentlemen, there are so many references to this thing in the Gita. Krishna Bhagavan mentioned many places about how many gods there are. There are many gods. And gods the point I'm making is you must not get bogged down by Western thought that there's one God. Remind me of when I was in primary school, I had a poem. All the trees are one tree. You know that poem? And for all the axes, one axe. And for all the rivers, one river. And for all the men, one man. If that one man take that one axe and cut that one tree and fall in the river, what did it splash that would be? That's a primary school thing. And that's for children who can't think. Everyone has the one. They can't think more than one. So when you see in 5 and 10 and 23, 10 school, they get confused. Hindu is not like that. So let us not bring down what Krishna Bhagavan is preaching in Gita. There are many, and there are so many references to that, about gods and gods and gods and gods. We have to understand that. And in any case, mentally we can fathom the fact that Durga Mata is different, Hanuman is different. They are all different incarnations. They are different forms. They are different powers. They are different blessings. What Tulsidas wrote in the Hanuman Chalisa. She blessed Hanuman Baba because he is that Devata, with all that external form of divine. So devotees, I'll end it here because there are many more questions have not been answered. But hopefully sometime in future we'll get it. To conclude, I'd just like to reiterate that Krishna Bhagavan says, those who belong to all the religions, we have noticed about that. I can't give up on that. He said, you know what you have, pray to me. And he says in the Gita, those who worship others, he didn't specify, they worship him unknowingly in not the right way. So remember devotees, Krishna Bhagavan are the answer for all our problems in society today. Let us make sure we read the Gita and let us see and understand that applicable to us, or whatever problem and difficulties we have, Krishna Bhagavan is there for us. If we could remove origins, problems, difficulties, we can remove all of us. But the idea is the Gita must be applicable to our lives, otherwise we can't draw people to it. People will not be attracted to it. But let us see the usefulness, utility, and importance of the Gita. Any question you have, feel free to ask me, we'll answer. There are many more questions. You'll get your answers eventually. Bol Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. We thank you for the opportunity to make a presentation. Hopefully, we'll continue and have bliss of Krishna Bhagavan for all of us. See you tonight.
Thank you very much, Pandit Gyanduji. Now I invite Suresh as we prepare for our next presentation after to lead in songs dedicated to Lord Krishna.
हमरे उलझन सुलझाओ भगवन तुमरे बिन हमरा कौन नहीं तुम्हें हमका वो संभाले तुमरे हमरे रख तुमरे बिन हमरा कौन नहीं। चंदा में तुम्हें तुम्हारे हो चांदनी, सूरज में उजाला तुम्हीं से। ये गगन है मगन, तुम्हें तो दिए हो ये सितारे भगवन। ये जीवन तुम्हें न सवारोगे तो क्या कोई सवारे। तुमरे बिन हमरा कौन नहीं। जो सुनो तो कही प्रभु जी हमरी ये विनती, दुख जन दो धीरज दो, हारे नहीं वो कभी दुख से। तुम निर्मल को रक्षा दो, रह पाए निर्मल सबसे। भक्ति दो शक्ति दो, जग के जो स्वामी हो, कितनी तो अर्ज सुनो। है पथ में अंधियारे के दो वरदान में उजियारे। वो पालनहार पालनहारे।
Thank you very much, Suresh Ji, member for Shriram Dham. We now move on to our second presentation, which will be made by Pandit Vikram Aditya Maharaj, who is the spiritual leader of Vishwanath Mandir in San Fernando. He's the creator of the Okar Foundation that has done a lot of social work. He has done many publications. He's a practicing Pandit for over 56 years and has been a driving force since we have come into contact in promoting the verses of Bhagavad Gita, promoting reading Bhagavad Gita even further. He has been appointed as the consultant to the International Gita Forum and also is the driving force, has been one of the main architects and the backbone on which the reading of the entire Bhagavad Gita has been done and is being done. He has been responsible also for training many pandits in Trinidad and Tobago and elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita and other areas. It's my pleasure now to invite Pandit Vikram Aditya Maharaj to make his presentation. Panditji.
Sitaram to each and everyone. Chairman of the International Gita Forum, Pandit Manidev Prasad, fellow presenter of the Gyandev Prasad. I think the last time I spoke about him, I described him as the chairman of Swaha. Other Pandits, the members of Sri Ram Ram, devotees. Before I begin, I want to do a verse of the Gita for you that says, Adhyayeshate chaya imam dharayam samvadamavayo jnana yagyena te naha mishtasyamiti te mati. That is a verse found in chapter 18 of the Gita. And the verse simply says that if you really want to know God, study the Gita. In-depth study. Don't think you could pick up the Gita and read a verse and you will understand what it means. You would not. You would not. Panditji has with him here a Gita Press version of the Gita. And there is another version of the Gita. And if you compare the translations, they're totally different. Totally different. So the Gita really requires an in-depth study. How long that's going to take? Ask Ravi Shankar how long it took him to master the Gita. He will tell you. Even when he died, he said he wasn't even a master. You will never finish it. It's not something you could complete. I want to begin with a quote that सुनते आए हैं एक आधा बचपन के धर्म और अधर्म की जीत की, कुछ ऐसे शूरवीरों की जो हमारे व्यक्तित्व कैसे बने, और कुछ ऐसे लोग जिनके नाम पर आज की सैकड़ों बच्चे के नाम रख के जाते। किंतु इस गाथा में कुछ लोग ऐसे थे जिनके नाम उनके चिता के साथ ही चल रहे मिट गई संसार से। Explain to you what that means. This katha, this story, we have heard as children about these great warriors, and they have become part of our persona. Even today, countless children are named after them. If you check every family in Trinidad, it has somebody named Arjun. Every family has somebody named Arjun. We attach our names to it. But in this saga, which is called the Mahabharata, there are some people whose name is gone from this world from the moment their pyres were lit. Nobody named their children Duryodhana, Dushasan, Kans. They died with it. Today, I will discuss with you one of the eternal characters of the Mahabharata. The night before this war was going to begin, a discussion took place between Sri Krishna and Arjuna. And let's stop right there. Lord Krishna and Arjuna did not have a relationship the night of the Mahabharata war. They had a relationship from birth. They were cousins. So they knew each other from birth. And when he spoke to Arjun that night, he called him by two names that never appeared anywhere else. One was Gandhivadhari, the one who wields the Gandhiva bow. That word is not mentioned anywhere else. Read the whole Mahabharata. It doesn't exist. And he called him Yuddha Arjun, the warrior Arjun. And that put me to think, why would he call Arjun Gandhivadhari and Yuddha Arjun? And from constant research, he was taunting Arjun. And there's a reason for that. The purpose of this war, Arjun, is for you to face your demons. How long are you going to run? And this stuck in Arjun's mind. Oh Lord, have I not destroyed many demons before? What demons still exist that I cannot destroy with your help? Said the overconfident Arjun with a smirk on his face. And Lord Krishna left it right there. And as he was walking out, he said something. Let us see what will happen tomorrow. That's all he said. On the morning of the war, Arjun made a very strange demand. It wasn't a request, it was a demand. And different schools of thought says it was a request. It could not be a request because Arjun was the warrior, Krishna was the charioteer, Krishna was the taxi driver. So Arjun was the boss and he made a demand. Yavadeta nariksheham yodu kaman avastitam kaidmaha sahayodavyam masmin rana samudyate. That was the demand. Place my chariot between both armies that I could witness for myself all those who I have to fight with. And Lord Krishna placed that chariot in such a way that the first thing was for Arjun to begin the confrontation of the demons that he had. Tana samikshai sakaunteya sarvan banduna vastitan kripaya paraya avishta vishaddi damabravit. And from the time Arjun looked up, emotions took over. He spoke with sadness. First demon. Choke in compassion. The second demon. Drishtavam swajanam krishnam yuyutasam samupastitam Sidanti mamagatrani mukkamachapadisushyati. When I see my relatives before me, my limbs fail me. His third demon. O Krishna, my mouth is burnt up. Now why would he call him Krishna then? Because the word Krishna has a meaning. That individual who saves his devotees from distress, he is called Krishna. So he is literally appealing that he's in trouble without asking, without saying it. Vepatushcha sharire me romaharashashcha jayati Gandivam stransate hastva tvakchaiva pariridyate. My body trembles. The hairs on my body stands on its end. The Gandiva slips from my hand and my body is burning all over. He describing himself. These are the demons he was facing. Nacha shaknomyavastatum brahmati vachamimana Nimitani cha pashyami viparitani yakeshavaha. Now, I am unable to stand. My mind is spinning. I see evil signs appearing all over the place. That was his other demon, hallucination. Tell me, Keshava. In one verse, he calls him Krishna, the one who saves his devotees from distress. Now he sees him as Keshava. K, Brahma. Sha, Vishnu. No, Shiva. And Va, Vishnu. He now sees Lord Krishna as the embodiment of the Vedic Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Natashreyo na pashyami hatva swajana mahavi na kangsha vijayama Krishna nacharajam sukhani chaha. Chapter 1, verse 31. I do not see any good coming out of this slaughter that is about to take place. O Krishna, I do not want victory, nor do I want empire, nor do I want pleasures. Tam tata kripaya vishnam ashnu purana kulekshanam vishidanta midamavakya muvacha madhusudana. This is the verse that compels Lord Krishna now to respond to this Arjuna who was so overwhelmed with compassion, who was drowning in distress, and who was very despondent. Arjuna was in need of help. He needed redemption from distress. And the question that arises of Arjuna showing mercy, that does not arise. That is a question should have never came up. Because he himself needed compassion. And if you need something, how could you give what it? You have to get it first. Arjuna finds himself at this terrible crossroad. He puts forth an argument that the living and the departed would be adversely affected by this impending war. This was only a cloak to hide the depression which he was experiencing. So he made all the different excuses. You know, there's something called Alcoholic Anonymous. So this guy goes to the meeting, and the lecturer is saying to him, took a worm and he threw it in a bottle of alcohol, and the worm fry up. And he asked the guy, have you learned anything from that? He said, yes. The more I drink it, the less worms I will have. You're looking for an excuse, a cop out. That is what Arjuna was doing. Looking for a reason not to participate. Arjuna was so confused. And the more he thought about it, he could not find a resolution by himself. And he says to the Lord, a verse that is considered to be the perfect prayer. All the scholars on the Gita have said that this verse is the perfect prayer. Karapanya dosha prahat swabhava prichami tvam dharma sanamudachetaha yatre yasyanishtitam bruhitaname Shishyastitam shadima tvam prapananam. My mind is way down, O Lord. There is feebleness in my mind. My understanding is confused as to my duty. I beg you, tell me definitely what is good for me. I am your disciple. Do instruct me, for I take refuge in you. Further he says, Nahi prapashyami mama panudyad yachom nashanamindriyanam avapya bhuma sanapatyamridam rajam surana pimachadyapatyam. The more I think about it, is the more confused I become. My senses have been burnt up. Even though I could gain unrivaled prosperity, monarchy on earth, and sovereignty over the celestials, I do not know if that is what I really want. And Lord Krishna now seizes this opportunity to remind Arjuna who he was and what he had to accomplish. Asotya vannasochastvam pragyavadashya bhashasi gatasun gatasusya nanusochanti yapanditaha. That today, Arjuna, you grieve for those whom you should not grieve for. Who was Arjuna grieving for? Bhishma and Drona. But that is the people he saw. And yet you speak words of wisdom. A wise man, Arjuna, will not grieve for the living nor for the dead. And Arjuna was grieving for Bhishma and Drona, who were two great sages who understood birth and death. They understood the cycle of birth and death. And they were not ruffled by the outcome of the war. They never even thought about it. The Lord points out to Arjuna that he is devoid of the very first step in yoga. One who harmonizes his thought, his word, and indeed gets into yoga. That is the first stage. Arjuna does the total opposite. He thinks one way, he speaks another way, and he acts in a different way. He loses his personality, his character, and his integrity. The Lord took it upon himself now to ensure that Arjuna saw the reality of things. It's called Tattva Darshabhi, to see the truth about everything. Even though the Lord was guiding Arjuna, he was not easily convinced. His demons were deeply entrenched. In frustration now, he cries out to Lord Krishna, Vyamishre vavakena buddhimamoya hasivami tadekam vadaya nishtitya yena shreho nayapnuyat. Chapter 3, verse 2. What you are explaining to me, O Lord, you are confusing me more. I came to you for help, and what you are explaining to me is confusing me. Tell me with certainty the path I should follow to realize the Supreme. The more Sri Krishna tried to explain to Arjuna to uplift him, the more his doubts grew about being successful. And then he says to the Lord, Ayate shadayo peto yoga chanti yamanasa aprapya yoga masamasiddhim kagatim krishna gacchati. In chapter 6 he says that whatever you have explained to me, if I am unable to do it, am I not a failure? And if I am going to fail, then why am I going to waste all this time and energy to do this? And the Lord had given him the assurance, Partha naivehina mutra vinashastasya na vidyati nahi kalyana kritakashte durgatim tata gacchati. And that verse, chapter 6, verse 40, is a very interesting verse. He says, "O Arjun, in this world, you will not be a failure. And in the next world, you will not be a failure." And he uses the word tat. He describes Arjun now, "O son, you're not going to fail." If a child in distress in a house, who's the first person he goes to? The mother. You wait for that to happen. That's not going to happen. Child will go to the father first if he in distress. So he realizes the distress that Arjun was experiencing. So by calling him Tat, son, "O son," Arjun will now open up to him. It is then that Arjun started to absorb the teachings of Lord Krishna silently. You know, there's 5 chapters in the Gita where Arjun never spoke a word. Check it. 5 chapters. He just sat down listening. He absorbed everything. And as the demons in him began to leave, his confidence started to return. And it prompted him to make a statement in chapter 10, verse 12. "Paramabrahamam paramadhamam pavitram paramam bhavan purusham shashvatam divyam adidevam vibhum." You are the supreme Brahman. You're not Krishna again. You are the supreme Brahman. I am talking about going to the supreme abode. You are the supreme abode. You are the supreme purifier. You are the eternal. You are the divine Purush, the primeval deity, the unborn one, the omnipresent. I now see you as this. He's coming out of his depression. And then he says something that you and I have discussed many times and we still cannot come up with the correct answer. And we're going to use it today. "Manyase yaditatrikyam maya drashtumiti prabhu yogeshwara tato me tvam darshayatmanam abhyayam." That if you think it is possible, O Lord, show me the universal form. Why would he make such a statement? Why would he ask that? Because I have always described, and I mentioned it to you, chapter 11 in the Gita, you could change the name from Vishwarup Darshan to mean be careful what you wish for. Because that is what he wished for, to see the universal form, only to realize when he saw it, he saw the end of the war before the war started. So all the doubts that he had, he saw the Lord himself destroy Bhishma, Drona, Karan, Jayadratha. So he was now at peace with himself, realizing that Arjun was regaining his character. The Lord happily acceded to this request. He showed it to him. That is what you want? No problem. Vashyame partha rupani shatayo shat sahasrashaha nana vidani divyani nana varana kritini chaha. Chapter 11, verse 5. Behold, Arjun, my divine form, by hundreds, by thousands, manifold, divine, multicolor, multi-shape. Having realized his own shortcomings, Arjun now has truly conquered his demons. With his thought, his word, his action, all in tune, all harmonized, working together, regaining his personality, his integrity, his character. He said something to Lord Krishna in chapter 18, Nashto moha smritiralabdha tatta prasadan mayachyuta stetasmi gata yasana deha kadishye vachanam tavaha. My delusion is gone. I have regained my memory through your grace, O Achyutam. When I walked in today, they was playing that, Achyutam Keshavam. The word Achyutam means that form that does not come down. He remains above. So he pulls you up there with him. He's not coming down here to meet you. I am firm. I am free of doubt. And I shall now act according to your words. In conclusion, Sanjaya says to the king, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno Yatha Partho Dhanurdharaha Tatra Shira Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvo Nitiraya Nirmama. Sanjaya said, wherever there is Lord Krishna, wherever there is Arjuna, the one who wields the Gandiva bow, many things are going to happen. Prosperity will always be there. Victory will always be there. Expansion will always be there. And whatever decisions are made, it is going to be very sound policy. Such is my conviction, O King. Arjuna was able to overcome his demons through the grace and the blessings of Lord Krishna, witnessed by Sanjaya. And he was able to realize the Supreme through the doubts that Arjuna had. Because those were doubts that all of us have. All of us have the same doubt. And as Arjuna put his faith in the Supreme Lord, if we do the same, then we will merge into that Supreme Lord. Bolo Shri Govinda Bhagavan Ki Jai.
Thank you very much, Pandit Vikramaditya Maharaj. At this time, I invite Suresh to do one song. While that is being done, we'll prepare the final session is the open forum, where questions from the audience present, if there are questions, there will be a microphone that you can express them. And those in our viewing audience online and on TV, you can WhatsApp 784-9880, WhatsApp only. The number will come up on the screen as the song begins. We shall have that open forum right after. Suresh.
नंदन तुमको वंदन रखते सबके लाज, सबके स्वामी अंतर्यामी पूजन की जयकार। देवकी नंदन तुमको वंदन रखते सबके लाज, सबके स्वामी अंतर्यामी पूजन की जयकार। मन मंदिर में सजे बिहारी, मनमोहन तेरे छवि अति प्यारी। मन मंदिर में सजे बिहारी, मनमोहन तेरे छवि अति प्यारी। बंसी बजैया रास रचैया, तारन हार मेरे तुम्हें कीवैया। तुमसे बड़ा का कौन कन्हैया। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव। सबके स्वामी अंतर्यामी पूर्ण की जयकार। लीला परंपार तेरी तू माखन चोर कहावे, भवसागर से सबकी नैया तू ही पार लगावे। भक्तों का सहारा तू बांसुरी वाला, मथुरा के बसया नंद के लाला। तेरी भक्ति में नाचे सब देता था थैया। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद, श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव। हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव। कृष्ण
Thank you very much, Suresh. And so now, firstly, we have this session where for a few minutes, if there are any questions, firstly, we give preference, obviously, to our physical audience here. If there's any question, our PRO, Curtis Ramdeen Singh, has a microphone. You can just identify and he will come to you. While we wait for that, I have gotten the first question on WhatsApp. Question asks, can I have that microphone? Yeah, so they can answer. If I want to say anything, I'll do it for me, right? So the question is, how would you recommend a complete beginner to Gita and Scripture go about understanding the verses and studying the Gita? I will repeat. How would you recommend a complete beginner to Gita and Scripture go about understanding the verses and studying the Gita?
Sanatana Dharma was always spread the same way. Children studying in the ashram of the Guru. And the child goes to the ashram. He doesn't know anything about Sanatana Dharma. And if you believe, even in the Bhagavad Puran, that when Lord Krishna was a child in the ashram, it wasn't always about studies. He had to go in the forest and cut wood too. He had to do manual labor. So, a person who knows nothing about the Gita, if you go to chapter 4 in the Gita, it tells you in a verse that the way you acquire knowledge of the Gita is by 1, bowing, 2, rendering service, 3, seeking answers to the questions and the doubts that you have. And that is where you begin.
Panagyandev, any inputs you want to make on this question? How would you recommend a complete beginner to Gita?
Basically, the Gita, I can't remember the exact verse, but it says that Krishna explains that you go and sit at the feet of the holy ones, go and sit at the feet of those who have learned, in other words, get a guru. That's the first thing you do, get a guru. If you have a guru, it will be difficult to learn anything. So find a guru, a qualified guru, who live in tradition. In the Gita, Krishna Bhagavan said that. Sit at his feet, ask a question, he will answer it for you. But get a guru.
So basically, through mentorship of a guru. The other question that has come in is, I've been reading Gita for 21 years. And while I know the verses, how do I make a greater understanding and application of Gita in my daily life? And more importantly, how can I instill these values in my children's life? I think it's an interesting thing. The question is, okay, I can recite the verses. I know the verses. Karma nivadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, for example, right? But the question she's asking, Ms. Ramlal Singh, let's give her name, how, from Devi, how do I make a greater understanding and application of this Gita in my daily life, and how do I get it transmitted to my children?
That's interesting. Nekabahudaravatranetram pashami tam sarvato anantarupam nandam na madhyam na punastavadim pashami vishveshwara vishwarupam. I could chant it. What does it mean? Chanting the Gita doesn't mean you know what it means. You could chant it like parrot. You understand? People go to certain places in Trinidad and everybody chanting the Gita and all them have the same twang, all them making the same mistake. You understand? They learn it like parrot. Do they know what it really means? So chanting it is one thing. Knowing what it means is something totally different. And then if you are not living a disciplined life, how could you impart that now to your children? They will see you now exactly as what chapter 2 says. You are a hypocrite. You sit in one place pretending to be a devotee of God, but your mind is somewhere else. The Gita says that you are a hypocrite. You have to lead by example. When the time came for the Mahabharat war, Krishna was in the front line. When the battle with Ravan came, Ram was in the front line. So you have to teach by example. By the life that you live, your children will follow the example that you live.
All right. I take that point, Panagyanaji, I'll ask you to make your input. But before so doing, I just want to say something that from my reading of the question, I am assuming the person is asking really, how can I simplify, how can I put the values of Gita, how can I transmit this to my children? I think it's a from the question of, I take your point about, children learn from what they see. But the actual principles of Gita, how do we get that changed?
Sit down with your guru and sit down sit down as a family. You cannot want to sit down, Pandit, and all of us make the same mistake.
No, we don't know that's happening here, right?
No.
So, yeah.
What I'm saying, I'm not talking about the person who sent it like that. All of us make the same mistake. For Gita Jayanti, I will sit down with my Gita and I'll put my clock in front of me and try to read the entire Gita 3 times. The first time I will do it in 3 hours. The second time I want to beat the record. You understand? I want to do it in 2.5 hours. And then the third time I do it, I want to do it in 1.5 hours. My question is, where are my children when I'm doing this? Where's my family when I am doing this? You understand what I'm saying? And I am saying, take it very slowly. Forget you could chant the whole Gita. Take one verse in the Gita. Those I could take any verse in the Gita, any verse, you pick the verse. And I could talk for the next 10 hours on that verse. It's so deep. But if you do it as a family, you will have discussion amongst yourself while you're doing it. You understand?
One of the problems with most people is that they want to read the Gita, taken out of context. Many persons do not know the life history of Krishna Bhagavan. That is the starting point. When he was born, how he was born, who his parents were. And there's a thesis right now, which hopefully I'll finish before I die, is to show what Krishna Bhagavan did at birth to childhood. The same thing he preached in the Gita. So if you go to his life, that is the Gita. What he did from birth, childhood, with all the different interactions and so on, that is the Gita in action. And then what he did later on, he actually spoke it to origin. So get the book of the Bhagavatam, get the Krishna Bhagavan life story, let's try and read it as a comic strip, or novel, whatever. Start from there. Don't try and go to the Gita yet, because the Gita is pure knowledge. But the Gita in action is Krishna Bhagavan's life from birth.
All right, I just want to add something, because this to me is a very important thing. People have the impression that the contents of the Gita are so high philosophy that you can't understand, or only very learned people can. We have to get the message of the Bhagavad Gita. This is my perspective in answering this question to this person. We have to get the contents of Bhagavad Gita, the verses, the messages that are there, in such a way, simply put, that people can, you see the same way someone says Siyaram is subject jani, and they know that, as we say Sitaram, and what it means. What Krishna Bhagavan says in Gita, I think, okay, like that last verse, wherever Lord Krishna is, there is success. We need to get in English these principles out to people. We need people to study more. And I think we have to do a greater job. Those who are teaching Gita, and I think also a good point was made. There is so much focus on chanting the Sanskrit. Now, nothing wrong with the Sanskrit, but none of us are Sanskrit experts. Okay? None of us Sanskrit is our mother tongue. The question is, how do we crystallize the principles of Bhagavad Gita, share it with people, so that when a situation arises with Suresh, what comes to his mind is a verse from Gita. In our language he could understand and could, so that I feel that's a challenge for us as teachers of Hinduism to look at. I remember, I'm raising this openly, I love to get these feedback. I made a suggestion earlier to say, you see, next year we are going to read Bhagavad Gita. Tomorrow we're going to do Bhagavad Gita 700 verses in Sanskrit. Most people won't follow it. It's a nice practice. I have said, well, I don't want to focus on the I don't mean, but I mean, I'm saying that I have made a suggestion. Why don't we read the 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita in English? And I have had people object to that.
Well, you know, I'm one of them.
I know, right? So, but the point is, it's not a sadhana here now, it's to understand the content. So, we would have to agree to disagree there, and that's quite healthy. I don't know if Pandit Gyanda wants to weigh in on this. Is there anything wrong in reading the entire Bhagavad Gita in English?
No, that question was answered in Ramayana, when Tulsidas wrote Ramayana in Avadhi from Sanskrit, belonged to the people's language. Now in Trinidad people talk English. So what's the problem with talking in English? Just like Tulsidas, the invocations, the mantras remain in Sanskrit. But the actual Gita itself could be read in English. Somebody may be taken right in verse in English and make it rhyme.
But having said that too, the translation we use is important, because when you read different translations, it depends on who wrote it, what their perspective might be. Pandit Vikram.
One more thing. I like what you say about the Ramayana. He wrote it in Avadi. But Tulsidas himself wrote one of the most beautiful astutis to Lord Shiva in the Tulsikrit Ramayana. Namami Shamisha Nirvana Rupam. That is not Avadi, my friend. That is Sanskrit. I didn't object. I told you I will not object to people reading the Gita in English. That if we want to line up 18 children here, and the 18 children going to read one chapter each in English, could any one of those 18 children explain the chapter that they read, even in the language that they read it in? And I was suggesting, why don't we spend a whole year, sit down with them, give them an idea what it really means, what it is about, that when they read it, they will not parrot read it, they will emotionally read it. And that is where the substance is going to come from. Not reading it, the emotions in it.
All right, so the question that was asked, I hope it has provided some measure of answer, where we need to get the actual meaning of the verses of Gita more popularized. Not just the Sanskrit, but what does it mean? So that we can apply it in our lives. I have another question that has come in, and this goes more to okay, how do I go about performing worship of Gita and Krishna, well they say Krishna and Sri Krishna, on Gita Jayanti Day? What preparation should I make if I must perform puja at home? But there's a quick answer to that, because
simple. Chapter 9 verse 24. Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhakta prayachati. Leaf, flower, fruit, offer it simple.
Yes, so that I would advise, I could share with you what we do here at Sri Ramdham. We fast for the day. We try in our homes, that day in particular, to read some verses of Gita. Begin your study of Gita from that day, if not from before, and then make it a habit. If it's every day, at least read one verse. So it's not just about worshipping Bhagavad Gita and Lord Krishna on Gita Jayanti Day. But yes, please, start on Gita Jayanti Day, fast, offer your worship as you do, and then let the worship be in the form of actual reading of the verses.
There is also a verse, I think, in chapter 3 or chapter 4. Ye yata mam prapadyante tasta taiva bhajamyaham mama varatumanu varatanta manushya parata sarvashaha. Worship however you want. There is no format. However it works for you, you do it. That's what the Gita says. Ye yata mam prapadyante, however you want.
So on Bhagavad Gita Day, yes, get your Gita and worship Lord Krishna, and make your prasad, offer it, and start reading the Gita. Any questions from the floor itself here? Curtis? While the mic is being brought, the other question I'll just answer very quickly. What other events will SSRD be holding for Gita? Promote other programs here. Well, tomorrow we are having the reading of the Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit by the Pandits. We are all invited to join starting at 3 o'clock. And then on Gita Jayanti Day, we are having Gita Puja on the 3rd floor. We have bhajans and reading of chapter 12, where we are doing yoga of devotion, and then the offering of Chapan Bhog, 56 dishes to Lord Krishna. Sir.
My question is, two powerful characters, when Arjun asked Sri Krishna to put the chariot in front of Bhishma Pitama and Dronacharya. My question is, who was Bhishma Pitama? Why? He played a very important role starting from his early childhood onward. What was his name? Yes, somebody?
Bhishma.
Yes. 2. In his final day, or final day, choose die in a better paradise. And why did he live here? What did he find? Death. I have another question.
There is something called the Vasus. V-A-S-U-S. There are 8 of them. And one day these 8 fellas decide they go in and play a trick on Vashishta Muni by stealing his cow. There was no malice. It was just a trick to see what Vashish is going to do without this cow. And Vashish pronounced a curse on these 8 Vasus, that for that act they will all be born as humans. None wanted to be born a human. And they beg all how. Until they reach Ganga. That Ganga must be their mother when they are born in this world. And she must promise them that she will destroy them as soon as they are born, so they will become back Vasus again. And she agreed to do it. So when Raja Shantanu was married the second time, he was married to Ganga, but her condition for marriage was, regardless of what I do not question me. The man in love. So he agreed blindly. When the first child was born, she drunk him. Second, every time a child born, she drunk him. And he wanted to say something, but he couldn't. And when he gets fed up, he opened his mouth. And she says, King, you broke your promise. Your last child has survived. That is the one who really thieved the cow. His name was Drow. He was the one. And she took the child with her. And a few years later, when the child became, let me say, a teenager, she brought him back. And when the king saw him, he knew this child is some kind of powerhouse. And Ganga appeared to him and said, this is your child. This is Gangeya. So his name was really Gangeya. That was his name. But the king, for some strange reason, decided he wanted to get married a third time. God alone knows why. And the Dullahin father makes a request. Why would I allow my daughter to marry a man that even if she have children, they will have no claim to the throne because of Bhishma, because of Gangeya? And Gangeya spoke to him and her. He says, listen, I will not get married, so I will not have children. I renounce my right to the throne. So if a child is born, that child will be the heir apparent. And the man says, listen, you could say that, but if you get married and you have a child and you die, you can't control what that child is going to do. And then he took that vow, I will never marry in this lifetime. The word Bhishma means the man who has taken a terrible vow. That is why he became Bhishma. why he chose to stay on the arrow for that period of time between December and January. He saw a lot of wrong things in the kingdom that he couldn't say anything. And he saw it as a penance to remain in that pain and suffering for that period of time, to burn out those effects. And he was waiting for the sun to enter into the Tropic of Capricorn, Makar Sankranti, for him to depart, because that was the bone he got from his father. You will only die when you choose to die. So nobody couldn't kill him. He had to choose his own time.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Panditji. We have to keep our timings, and I would like our questions as we complete focused on Gita itself. So the last question that I have about 6 more, but I think I will just use this one. The others I will respond to separately. They are asking our panel, question is, first was what are the events we were holding, and final question, and I'm opening it up really, what more can we do to promote Gita among, and they're saying among Hindus?
Interesting question. What more could we do?
Is it being suggested that Gita, sorry, not Gita Jayanti, sorry, my apologies, not Gita Jayanti among Hindus? Because to me that suggests right away the thinking is that the Hindus themselves are not paying attention to Gita Jayanti.
And there's a simple reason for that. Because Gita Jayanti, like Diwali, like Kartik, right? Everything is announced in this country 2 weeks before the event.
So what more can we do? Each of you, Panditji, what more can we do to
have
promote
discussions on it?
Gita Jayanti?
Take it to the different
celebration
mandirs.
itself.
Take it to the different mandirs. Have discussions about it. Get people to sit down with a Gita in their own house, in their own time, and in their own space. Read a verse or two. Write down a question or two, and bring it in. Let we discuss it. Let us, if you want to use the word, argue about it or come to a consensus. Create an awareness. And the only place to create the awareness is in the mandir, like in a Sunday morning service, if that's the time you want to do it. But that is the place to create the awareness. You can't leave it for people to decide that when they go home, you and your husband going to sit down and decide, okay, look, we're going to put 1 day a week. No, that won't work. It has to be an open thing where everybody could participate, and then you could get that to grow into a bigger thing.
So actually, from what you're saying, getting temple managements themselves to pay attention to it. Pandit Gyandev, your perspective?
There's one thing which was done in the past, Krishna Leela, and that was very successful in many areas, and is also in the holiday time, August. So we get back that, go in, one temple started, but get back the people who used to do it long time, and do Krishna Leela regularly. They'll bring awareness and we can move from there. So it's a good start to start back Krishna Leela in addition to Ram Leela. So Krishna Leela will be, people looking forward to that. I say it's always falls most of the time in August. So it's good time for children at home or from school and so on.
I've just gotten a response from somebody, not asking a question, but they're saying, Pandit, if you want to, don't try and promote Gita Jayanti, because people, Hindu people study in Lord Krishna in December. The exact words was get real. Get real, that we ourselves are not thinking of Gita in December. And I think there's merit in that. But there are those of us who would, so then, because in some countries I know they actually do the Gita Jayanti celebrations months before, so that they make way for the Yuletide season. But that to me is a cop-out.
The correct thing to do, and you and I discussed that, and I have always stood by that principle. If Hanuman Jayanti fall on the 10th of January, do it on the 10th of January. If Gita Jayanti fall on Christmas Day, what does that have to do with you? Do it on Christmas Day. I have always stand that ground.
So
I understand.
Yeah.
Hold on, Pandit. I understand the compromise. Don't feel I don't understand compromise. I just don't believe in it. I understand compromise, I just don't believe in it.
No. So it's the person is basically. I think what we need to do is to get a greater cadre of people, larger number of people who are interested in promoting Lord Krishna, and it's been a challenge. It's a challenge every year. So I think we would have to leave it there. My director just sent me a message too in terms of our timing. We are over already, but we want to thank ITV for giving us the time to continue this discussion. At this stage, I want to invite the secretary of Swaha Shri Ram Dham, Ravi Remol, to do a vote of thanks. Ravi.
Guruji and spiritual leader of Swaha Shri Ram Dham, Pandit Manidev Prasad, Deputy Spiritual Leader Pandit Kavish Prasad, Mrs. Rohini Prasad, distinguished speakers Pandit Gyani Prasad and Pandit Vikramaditya Maharaj, viewers of IETV, guests, Sitaram. As we come to the end of this academic and cultural forum, I would firstly like to thank the founder and chairman of the International Gita Forum Caribbean, Pandit Manidev Prasad. To our distinguished pundits who contributed towards this evening's session, I say thank you very much. To everyone who attended and our online viewers, thank you very much for taking the time to join with us this evening. I do hope we have gained new knowledge on Bhagavad Gita tonight and can implement in our daily lives. Please join us tomorrow for the reading of the Sri Bhagavad Gita at 3 p.m. Refreshments have been prepared, so please partake before leaving. Thank you and Sitaram.
Thank you very much, Ravi. I invite everyone to stand. I'll invite Pandit Kavish to do the Arati Sri Ram Bhagavad Gita. As we conclude, we just join in glorifying Gita Mata. If you can join with us. जय भगवद गीते जय भगवद गीते हरि कमल विहारिणि सुंदर सुपुनीते कर्म सुमर्म प्रकाशिनि कामा शक्ति हरा तत्व ज्ञान विकाशिनि विद्या ब्रह्म परा निश्चल भक्ति विनायिनी निर्मल मलहारी शरण रहस्य प्रदायिनी सब विधि सुखकारी राग द्वेष विदारिणी कारिणी मोद सरा भव भय हारिणी तारिणी परमानंद प्रदा आसुर भाव विनाशिनी नाशिनी तम रजनी दैवी सद्गुणदायिनी हरि रसिका सजनी समता त्याग सिखावनी हरिमुख की पानी सकल शास्त्र की स्वामिनी श्रुतियों की रानी दया सुधा बरसावनी मातु कृपा कीजे हरिपद प्रेम दान कर अपनो कर लीजे जय भगवद गीते जय भगवद गीते ओम वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानंद कृष्ण वंदे जगद्गुरुं. We offer prayer to Shri Ram, Shri Ram Ram, Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Devase Raghunataya Nathaya Sitaya Patmini. Shri Ramchandra Charanam Manasa Smaranam Shri Ramchandra Charanam Vachasa Vinam Shri Ramchandra Charanam Shirasha